Hello everyone, this is Jason from Primetime Aquatics, and today we're going to do something different. You often see the fish room behind me or on the other side. We've got all these tanks, but believe it or not, we do have 7 tanks upstairs. Only one of them is mine, so we're going to take a few minutes today and show you the fish tanks that we have upstairs, so stay tuned. So these are the two 2.5 gallons that we have in the kitchen right behind the sink. It's actually kind of hard to shoot because the sink is right here. There is a betta in this 2.5 gallon on the left hand side. I believe its name is Cosmo. At least that's what Joanna named it. We've got some Java ferns, some Anubias. We also have some crypts in here. And then over here on the right hand side we have, I believe the name is Galaxy. This is the other 2.5 gallon. The only fish that are in here is the betta. And then we also have a very small super red bristlenose that will be out of here when it gets too big, but a lot of jungle val in here, a little bit of Anubias, a little bit of Java fern. So these are the tanks that are right behind the kitchen sink. So this is Joanna's 5.5 gallon up in her craft room. There's a few different types of fish in here. And so we've got the strawberry and tangerine Daniels. These are genetically bred that way. They are not dyed, they're not glowfish. They're kind of cool. We also have a couple clown killies in this tank, and then we just picked up 3 pea puffers, and I understand that pea puffers cannot be in a 5.5 gallon, and we certainly can't have 3 of them in a 5.5 gallon, so we're going to move those around as we need to, but for right now that's where they wound up, and in the next few days or so we'll figure out where they need to be. Alright, so in terms of plants, what do we have going on in here? She put some Anubias in here. We've also have some dwarf Sagittaria, I believe, and then she just put in this dragonstone not too long ago. But it's a great little tank. It's nice just based on where it's located in the craft room, and it's just fun to look at. This may very well be my favorite tank in the upstairs area. This is Luke's tank. This is a breeding tank for him. These are platinum red Dumbo guppies. These guppies he got from Keng Lee at Twin City Guppies. They are absolutely phenomenal. It's funny, the last time we went to an auction, we brought 30 bags of fish, and he put in a couple trios of these in one bag, and I think this was the bag that sold for the most money, at least for the fish that we brought. But this is a really, really awesome strain of guppies, and so it's set up pretty simple. We've got the hornwort floating that protects a lot of the babies. You can see here we've got some Java moss on a little bonsai looking tree, and then in the back there he's got some Anubias. We do have an intake filter on our tiny little hang on the back, but this is a great tank. It is filled with some really, really cool looking fish. Again, the Dumbo ear guppies, these things are phenomenal. Probably my favorite guppies, at least the best guppies I think that we have in the fish room. So the next tank that we have, actually, they're not fish, they are newts. These are Spanish rib newts. It's going to be really hard to get them on camera. They're often very shy. We usually don't have a bright light on this tank. I put this on here temporarily just to kind of show them off. They're relatively easy to care for. We've had these now for probably a year, maybe slightly more. Looks like we've got 1 male, 1 female. The one I am showing you now, I think, is the larger female. But they're really cool, so they don't need a heater. In fact, the water temperatures in the 60s do just fine for them. Really easy to feed. We've been feeding them flake food and pellets. They will get occasional bloodworms and frozen brine shrimp, and they pretty much eat just about everything we throw in the tank. So this is our 3.7 gallon. It's in our bedroom. This is Joanna's tank. We've had a real struggle trying to find fish that would be appropriate for this tank, not so much because of the size. The filtration is an issue. The filter is far too strong. The pump is too strong for this size tank. So the normal fish that you might put in here, like a betta, they really struggle. Anything long fin struggles with the current. And so what we've got in here are some really old Daniels and one really pretty small bristlenose pleco that will come out of here as it grows a little larger. But the Daniels here, like I said, they're really old, so they're kind of crinkly, and maybe they don't look as good as they used to, but it gives them a home, gives them a place to kind of relax, because you know, in a larger tank they might be prone to bullying, so they're kind of in here. I like what she did with the tank with the rocks, and again we've got some crypts, we've got some Anubias, we've got the Anubias up front here is Nana Petite, and then yeah, the crypts are all growing. There's a little bit of dwarf sag in here as well. It's a cool little tank. Again, it's just a struggle to find the fish that are appropriate for the water flow in this tank. Alright everybody, so this is actually the only tank that is mine upstairs. Hard to believe, right? But I guess that's the goal. The whole family's into fish keeping, and it's pretty cool with 7 tanks upstairs. Just one of them is mine, and this is it. This used to be in our living room. It's got a rock wall in the back. It's actually made of styrofoam and cement. It's something I did a long time ago, pre-YouTube days. At some point maybe I will do another tank like this. Believe it or not, I've got a big, huge stack of styrofoam down in the basement with the intent of doing this to more tanks, and I just haven't gotten around to it, but I think I will as we start to move some things around in the basement. So what's going on in this tank? Obviously there's a lot. It's just a true community tank. So there's just fish that I really like. So for instance, we've got the 5 gold white clouds. There's a couple of older pearl danios in here. We have a number of guppies in here. I think they are Japan blue type guppies, but I think there might also be some Endler mixed in with them. There are some pygmy cory cats. I think we've got about 7 or 8 of those. There is a very, very old black neon over here. You can see it on the right hand side. This fish is really old. I want to say at least 5 or 6 years old. And then of course we've got hiding out in the background, there are a couple of Siamese algae eaters. I got those way back when this was a very heavily planted tank and we were starting to have some blackbeard algae issues going on. I put them in there, haven't seen blackbeard algae since. There's a couple of unusual fish in here. We do have one Neolamprologus similis. He is down there at the bottom. He's got kind of like his own little cave structure. At one point I was going to breed those fish and I bought a group of them, and by the time I got home I had gotten 4 of them. 3 of them were dead. They had been at an auction and just one of them made it, and so I didn't really want to get these anywhere, that fish anywhere near my multis, so I left it up here. That way there was no possibility of mixing them. We've got a couple mystery snails in here. There's some ram's horn snails. In fact, what's going on here is we had a loach in here. I don't remember what type it was. It was a very small one. It was taking care of snails, and I think it has since passed, and now we're starting to see more ram's horn snails. But I like this tank. It's right next to my computer. I can just kind of glance over when I'm doing stuff on the computer and take a look at it. We've got some crypts. That's the plants that are in the corners. There's a sword plant in here, and then of course we've got the Anubias kind of right in the center. The substrate is just a fluorite substrate, and so it does a pretty good job of holding nutrients. But again, it's just, I like to look at the tank. I find it relaxing. So that's what we've got going on here. Again, it's my only tank. That's mine upstairs. All right, everyone, so that was the upstairs fish room tour. We will be doing a fish room tour of the basement pretty soon, so we'll have that video out shortly. So if you like this video, share, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.